There was a whole lot of cruise news this week, and only one involves the federal government.
I'ma keep it rising. Say keep going higher. I keep going higher. I keep.
Hello and welcome to Planet Pluto Travel, and I'm your host, Alana DeRose. So, with the federal government, after over a year since the CDC has shut down the cruise industry, they have stated in a letter that a mid-July restart is possible if certain requirements are met. The letter was sent to the cruise industry and shared by USA Today, which provides a much more realistic future for the cruise industry. We acknowledge that cruising will never be a zero-risk activity and that the goal of the CSO's phased approach is to resume passenger operations in a way that mitigates the risk of COVID-19 transmission on board cruise ships and across port communities. CDC's head of the Maritime Unit, Amy Trefaletti, wrote in the letter. USA Today also gained confirmation from a CDC spokesperson that cruising may be able to restart up in July. CDC looks forward to continued engagement with the industry and urges cruise lines to submit Phase 2A port agreements as soon as possible to maintain the timeline of passenger voyages by mid-July. The letter also has 5 key points that show the expectations for cruise lines this time around. 1. Ships can skip over the required test cruises if 98% of crew and 95% of passengers are fully vaccinated. 2. CDC will review and respond to cruise line applications for test voyages in 5 days now instead of 60. 3. The CDC will update its testing and quarantine requirements for passengers and crew to align with the CDC's guidelines for fully vaccinated people. 4. Cruise lines are allowed to enter a multi-port agreement instead of the single-port agreement as long as all port and local authorities sign the agreement. And 5. The CDC has changed its quarantine guidelines for passengers that may be exposed to COVID-19, allowing them to drive home if they drove or stay at a hotel if took a plane. The updated information in the CDC's letter follows blowback on the CDC after they released updated technical guidance for its framework for conditional sailing on April 1st, Royal Caribbean blog stated, which some people have seen it as lacking and impractical. However, even before the letter was released, many cruise lines such as Royal Caribbean, Carnival, and Norwegian Cruise Lines have cruises where full vaccination is required by passengers in order to board the ship. Now, this is really good for Royal Caribbean, as Royal Caribbean actually has asked the Port of Galveston for more time to build their new cruise terminal in case cruise ships aren't able to sail. Currently, Royal Caribbean has a deal with Galveston in order to build the terminal, but the longer the cruise ship downtime extends, the longer it'll take for the terminal to even be built. The longer the delay in cruise ships resuming sailing from the United States could impact the new terminal. Royal Caribbean was set to open it by fall 2022, but now it could be off by a year, Royal Caribbean blog stated. The Board of Trustees for the Port of Galveston has actually approved a second contract amendment to the contract amendment on Tuesday, even though the due diligence expired on April 9th. According to Royal Caribbean blog, this second amendment formally waives the due diligence period and makes this a firm contract. The due diligence period had given Royal Caribbean Group the ability to cancel the contract up to April 9th date, but that leverage is now gone. The contract set a new completion date for the terminal on September 1st, 2022, which is way ahead of Allure of the Sea's arrival to Galveston, which will be November 13th, 2022. However, the latest one, Royal Caribbean must complete the project and start paying rent, is by September 30th, 2023, so it has been moved up 3 months, and this leaves room for pretty much any difficulties and interruptions that may happen with the resumption of cruising that can affect this entire process. Port of Galveston Director Roger Rees stated in the Galveston Daily News, "I think the opening date of the terminal will depend on when the cruise lines commence cruising in the U.S. He doesn't believe the extension will happen at all. Construction will need to begin by July or August to have the terminal completed by November of 2022. If cruising commences much later than July or August, it will be tough to expect to have cruise terminal finished by November of 2022. Trustee Elizabeth Beaton also made a comment to Daily News stating, "If Royal fails to perform, they owe the port several $1 million. However, Royal Caribbean's extension request wasn't really significant. The Port of Galveston has also been doing their part in building this new terminal by offering utilities, parking lots, landscaping, dredging, and road and traffic improvements. Allure of the Seas will be the first ship to sail out of the new terminal in November of 2022. Allure of the Seas is currently in Europe right now and isn't the only Royal Caribbean ship that has relocated out of the country, as Rhapsody of the Seas headed to Barbados. Rhapsody of the Seas will be redeployed to Barbados and start sailing from Bridgetown, Barbados in November of 2022, and this will make it the second ship to call Barbados home in order to get around the CDC's ban on cruising. Royal Caribbean's Grandeur of the Seas has plans to sail out of Bridgetown starting this fall. The new sailings for Rhapsody of the Seas are available on the Royal Caribbean website through the winter of 2022 on to 2023. You can choose from 5, 7, 8, and 14-night cruises to places such as Trinidad, Grenada, Guadalupe, and more. Also on the 14-night cruises, Royal Caribbean will be offering overnight stops to places such as Aruba and Cartagena. Now let's look at the other Caribbean island, the Bahamas, and what's going on with their new ship. Royal Caribbean will be using Nassau Hotel for check-in when boarding Adventure of the Seas. The Voyager class ship will be offering cruises from Nassau in June of 2022, making this the first Royal Caribbean ship to sail in North America in over a year. This is a brand new offering for both the Royal Caribbean and the Bahamas. Royal Caribbean blog stated, "Traditionally, guests report to a cruise terminal for the check-in and boarding procedure, but it appears that will not be the case for guests on Adventure." The British Colonial Hilton Resort in downtown Nassau is what will be used for passenger check-in and boarding on Adventure of the Seas. Nassau Cruise Port's chief executive Michael Morrow also confirmed this by stating, "Royal Caribbean is planning to use the reception room in the British Colonial Hotel Resort for check-in." Doug Swallow shared the information after talking to Royal Caribbean about purchasing airport transfers. The hotel is being used as the staging point for boarding the ship. There are no facilities currently at the pier, he posted on Facebook. The hotel is one of the closer things to the pier itself, according to Royal Caribbean blog. Passengers' luggage will leave from the hotel to the cruise port to be screened and then placed onto the ship. Nassau Cruise Port is working extensively with the cruise lines and Bahamian law enforcement to determine the flow, handling, and other details required for this, according to Royal Caribbean blog. During a webinar with Bahamian officials, Royal Caribbean's Associate Vice President Gaming and Onboard Revenue, Elisa Shen, outlined the plan right now for guest embarkation. However, Shen has warned these are subject to change. Royal Caribbean will offer their guests an opportunity to drop off their luggage at the British Colonial Hilton on the same day of cruising before their official check-in time, so the guests will have more time to explore Nassau without being held up by their luggage. Shen also added that guests who will be at the airport the day of the cruise have the option to drop off their luggage with Royal Caribbean. Also, guests who will be in Nassau a day or more before the cruise have the option to drop their luggage off at the hotel. However, at their official check-in times, guests will report to the hotel to get their antigen test taken, and if positive, they will report directly to the ship. Now that is all I have for you today. If you would like to see more news, reviews, and blogs, of course you do, hit that red subscribe button and hit the notification bell so you'll be notified anytime I upload more content. Also, check out our other news video. Yes, there were 2 this week because yes, there was a lot. So go check that out. That will be popping up in the iBox sooner or later. And of course, as usual, all news articles to the news stories I have just explained to you will be down in the description below. So if you want to check that out, go ahead. Also, follow us on social media. Yeah, do that. Yeah, go ahead and do that because why not? And with all that being said, bye you guys and stay safe.
I'ma keep